Welcome to Hire Power, the show where we cut through the noise and get real about hiring. I'm Kim Frost, founder of Frost Connections, and after 25 plus years in the search industry, I've seen what works and what absolutely doesn't. If you're a founder, CEO, VP, or HR leader who's tired of bad hires and ready to build a team that actually fits your culture and vision, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hi there, welcome back. And all is right in my world because it's the afternoon. I get my Diet Coke with 6 limes. And yes, there are 6 limes, no lemons, limes. All right, so here's what we're talking about today: how to build a super team and why most teams never get there. Interesting timing too, because I have been talking to someone about building their team and how they really missed the mark. Over the last 25 years, I've placed a lot of great talent. And I can tell you this: some of the most impressive individuals on paper didn't make it. And some people you would never even bet on or consider, they outperformed everybody. The difference wasn't talent, it was the team. And that's what I love about this topic, because when you really understand how to build a team the right way, everything changes. Your hiring gets easier. Your people perform at a higher level. And you stop wondering why things aren't clicking when on paper they should be. And this is a kind of work I love to do because it actually makes a difference. It's real, it's practical. And when you get it right, you feel it across the entire organization. So today, let's dive into how to build a super team, not just a good team, not just a functioning team, but a team that consistently performs at a higher level. All right, what is a super team? Harvard Business Review has studied this extensively, and they define top teams as those that consistently outperform, not just in results, but in adaptability, decision-making, and resilience, which is so key to getting it right? It's not about one person, it's about the team. Gartner found that high-performing teams can improve productivity by 25%, and organizations that intentionally build collaborative, empowered teams see up to 50% higher employee performance. That's huge. That's not incremental, that's game-changing. Here's where leaders get it wrong, though. They think it's about hiring the best talent. It's not. And coming from me as a talent expert, super teams are not built on individual excellence. They're built on how talent works together under pressure. I've seen this over the last 25 years. Doesn't matter how big the company is, what industry, I've seen it from the executive level all the way through the entire organization. I've placed brilliant individuals who failed miserably on the wrong team. And I've seen solid, not extraordinary players become exceptional because of the team around them. Okay, here are 5 things that build super teams. Let's break it down to what matters. 1, because you know I like my pad and paper and the 1s, 2s, and 3s. So write this down, and I do mean write it or type it. Most leaders hire to a job description. Super teams are built around a clear definition of success. What does winning look like in the next 12 months? What problem does this person solve? What must they deliver? When that's fuzzy, you get misalignment. And misalignment kills performance faster than lack of skill. In my world, I don't use job descriptions. I build what we call a success profile. So what does success look like a year out from now? Because when expectations are clear, People move faster, decisions get sharper, accountability becomes obvious. Without it, you get confusion, politics, and finger pointing. 2, cognitive diversity. Yes, I'm using the D word. It's not culture fit. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. Well, are they a culture fit? Sounds nice, safe, comfortable, buzzy. It's also one of the fastest ways to build an average team. Super teams are built on cognitive diversity. And what is that? It's a different way of thinking, a different way of challenging, and a different way of solving problems. Harvard Business Review has shown that diverse teams outperform homogeneous ones in decision making by up to 87%. But here's the catch. That only works if the leaders know how to manage tension. Because diverse thinking, it does create tension. And weak leaders avoid it. Strong leaders use it. Number 3, psychological safety without lowering the bar. Everyone now is talking about psychological safety. That's another buzz term. But few really understand it. It doesn't mean being nice. It doesn't mean avoiding hard conversation. Google's Project Aristotle found that psychological safety was the #1 predictor of high-performing teams. But here's what they also found. The best teams aren't soft. They were safe enough to challenge each other directly, openly, respectfully, without fear. That is the difference. If your team is nice but avoids conflict, you don't have safety. You have avoidance. Number 4, shared accountability, not individual silos. This is where most teams break. Everyone owns their piece, but no one owns the outcome. Super teams operate differently. They think we win together, we miss together, we fix it together. And that changes behavior because now silos disappear, information flows faster, problems get solved earlier. McKinsey and Company has reported that organizations with strong team alignment and accountability outperform peers by 20 to 25% in profitability. Let that sink in. Why? Because execution gets tighter. Decisions get made quicker and easier. Number 5, the leader sets the temperature. In peer form, let me be blunt here. You don't have a team problem. You have a leadership problem every single time. Super teams are a reflection of the leader's standards, communication, decision-making, and willingness to address issues. If a leader tolerates mediocrity, then guess what? That's what your team becomes. If a leader avoids conflict, that becomes your culture. And I have a whole podcast on talking about how to have those uncomfortable conversations. So go back and listen to that for a refresher. If a leader is unclear, the team fragments. I've seen this at every single level, to the executive level, to the on the floor level. But here's what's interesting. Leaders can think they're being clear. They think they're holding people accountable. But what the team experiences, and if you ask them, it's completely different. So let me give you a quick example of one of my clients. Mid-sized company, growing fast, on paper, great team. In reality, constant miscommunication, slow decisions, and then frustration across departments. They kept trying to, I'm quoting here, fix the people. But the issue wasn't the people. It was no clear definition of success per role, overlapping responsibilities, no shared accountability, and yes, leadership avoiding those hard conversations. We restructured how they define the roles, aligned the leadership team, and introduced real accountability. We got everybody on the same page as the why. And listen, this changes yearly, 3 years, 5 years, depending upon what your goals are. So you have to be really mindful of those goals because, again, we're not hiring per position. We're hiring for results that are aligned with the goals of your organization. Same people. Within 6 months, this client, faster execution, better decisions, higher engagement. And there was nothing magical about it. What did it come to? Clarity and alignment. Another podcast that I did on clarity. And one of the superpowers of being a great leader is clarity. What leaders need to do differently? If you want to build a super team, here's where you need to shift. Stop asking yourself, do I have the right people? And start asking, do my people know what success looks like? Does my team know the goals of the organization that we are moving toward? Do they feel safe challenging each other? Are they aligned to those outcomes? And you need to ask yourself as a leader, are you leading or are you managing? Because here's the truth. You can have A+ talent and still get B results. Or you can build the right environment and get A+ performance from a B+ team. Here's the reality most leaders avoid. Building a super team is uncomfortable. It requires hard conversations, letting go of good enough people, being honest about leadership gaps, refining roles and expectations. And unfortunately, most leaders don't go there. Instead, they tweak around the edges, and then they wonder why this isn't working. So I'm going to leave you with this. Super teams are not built by accident. They're not built by hiring individual top talent. They are designed intentionally. They're designed through clarity, alignment, accountability, and leadership that's willing to do the hard things. If you're listening to this and thinking, yeah, we've got some gaps, you're not alone. Most organizations do. This is exactly the work that I do and I love, helping leaders build the right talent architecture so their teams don't just function, they perform at a completely different level. If you want a quick, no pressure conversation, I'm happy to walk you through what I look for, what I've seen work, and where you might have some blind spots. So reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Sometimes it's not about working harder, it's about building the right team in the first place.
That's it for this episode of Hire Power. If you're ready to hire smarter, connect with me at frostconnections.com or at LinkedIn at Kim Frost. And if you've got something to say about today's episode, follow the show and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, hire smart, lead better, and remember, how you hire is who you become. See you next week. No fluff, just better hires.